Thinking of going vegan or adding more plant-based meals to your diet? Whether you're a bodybuilder, powerlifter, or just a busy professional trying to lose some weight, there are some common mistakes that you could be doing that could seriously slow down your progress. In this video, I will be breaking down the biggest mistakes, so stick around until the end. You could be making some of these without even realizing it. Under or overeating calories. One of the biggest misconceptions about veganism or vegan diet is that all you basically eat is just salads.
I would need to eat 12 bowls of greens to get the same amount of protein as eating 6 ounces of a steak.
While I do consume 200 grams of green vegetables or leafy vegetables for my fiber, that's not predominantly what I eat. In fact, that's a very small portion of what I eat. I try to consume between 120 to 150 grams of protein, which predominantly comes from foods like tofu, tempeh, chickpeas, some even from my protein shake, and definitely not from kale. Kale probably has very negligible amount of protein. A lot of mistakes that people do is they end up under eating calories because sometimes these salads that make you feel full might be nutrient dense, but they are not really calorie dense. So if you're going all the way from 2500 calories to 1500 calories, that's a drop of 1000 calories, and that's definitely going to be screwing up your metabolism. That's going to be causing hunger issues, hormonal imbalance. If you don't have a diet chart, I highly recommend you start with tracking your calories. That's what I do. Again, just for reference, this is an example of what I eat in a day. I also made a video on this, go check it out. But I predominantly always try to consume something around 200 grams of tofu, 55 grams of chickpeas. Everything just adds up to 2000 calories. At least if you're not tracking calories on a day-to-day basis, make sure to track them at least for a few days to get an idea if you're going to be eating the same thing every single day. But definitely lots and lots of kale is not the answer for that. That is one reason you might be under eating calories. Mistake number 2, not eating enough protein. Many new vegans that I know underestimate their protein needs or struggle to meet their protein requirement. Or the general guideline is that you require between 0.8 to 1.2 times your body weight in pounds. Well, I am personally lean, so I consume between 120 to 150 grams of protein. I have absolutely no problem consuming that, only because I am very conscious about it and I make sure to consume enough protein across each of my meals. A lot of people that struggle and then end up losing their muscle mass or end up with their recovery. It's definitely safe to supplement some portion of your protein requirement with protein powders. This one I use has 30 grams of protein per scoop, as long as you keep it just as a supplement, and then try to get most of your protein content from whole food sources like tofu, tempeh, chickpeas. Is perfectly fine to consume these. Mistake number 3, relying heavily on processed vegan foods. Many fall into the trap of consuming too many of the processed and junk foods that are vegan. Now, obviously, it's not very practical to always stick with the most healthiest food sources 100% of the time. If you can do it, props to you. I personally try to stick with most of the whole food sources for my protein, but I also do indulge in some processed foods occasionally, but I understand how many calories those are, and then I just try to balance it out and then keep it to very minimal. So considering inflammation, health issues, recovery, bioavailability of the protein sources, and then completeness of the protein sources, it's definitely safe to stick with whole food protein sources just to avoid any issues. But also, I personally felt the difference whenever I eat healthy versus a few days when I go and eat a lot of junk foods. I definitely feel the difference in my energy. That's something I've seen a lot of people also struggle with and make mistakes. One easy way to manage cravings or try to incorporate some of those items that you want to try is to try to make them yourself at home. For example, replace some of the fake chicken nuggets with air fried tofu. That's something I make all the time and ends up being really crispy if you add some nutritional yeast, which could also bring in some more vitamin B, which is really hard to get as a vegan. And then when I make these, I barely add any oil. That's the main advantage. And then you know what you're putting into the food, so you can always restrict those, ignoring your micronutrient needs. Now, this is a slightly controversial topic because a lot of them would love to sell supplements to you, whether you need it or not. In many cases, some of these supplements just get flushed out in your urine. What I personally recommend and what I practice is to take blood work during your annual physical every 6 months or 1 year period of time, and then find out what you're specifically deficient in, which it commonly tends to be vitamin D, B, and some iron. So based on that, find out what you're really specifically deficient in and take only those supplements that might be helpful. But as a vegan, I personally consume a lot of leafy vegetables that give me iron and zinc, flax seeds and hemp seeds. Some of these give me the alpha omegas that typically tend to be lacking in a common vegan diet. I also consume nutritional yeast that is specifically fortified with vitamin B. So definitely getting some knowledge and incorporating that preemptively will be helpful. Also getting your blood work done and then finding out what you're specifically deficient in is the way to go. Mistake number 5, hydration issues. Many of us consume too little water or flush out all the electrolytes from our system, leading to dehydration, poor performance, and muscle soreness. No, I'm not going to be shelling out any AG1 or LMNT in this video. I personally consume organic coconut water for the most part, but definitely monitor your hydration levels based on the color of your urine. I consume between 2 to 3 gallons of water. I just carry my water bottle everywhere with me. Sometimes whenever I slip up and I don't consume enough water, my body literally tells me I feel more soreness or the color of the urine changes. I will definitely correct course. A plant-based diet might tend to be higher in fiber, so sometimes it might lead to more water loss. So definitely, if you're working out really heavy, consume a lot of water and also have a check on the electrolyte. Hey, if you're finding any value from this video, do hit the subscribe button for more such videos coming out on veganism and fitness, specifically from my experience in this journey. Drop a comment if you find these valuable, if you've made any of these mistakes. As I mentioned in the other videos, vegan fitness does not have to be complicated. At the end of the day, it just boils down to calorie in, calorie out, consuming enough protein. In this case, I personally consume from the whole protein vegan sources and moving more. That's pretty much it. And everything else is just like nuances to the equation. Obviously, make sure you're consuming enough of the micronutrients as well and consuming enough fiber and water. That's literally it. If you love this video, you will definitely like this other video where I talk about my fitness transformation journey in detail, talking about my struggles, how I dropped 30 pounds last year as a vegan. Do check it out here. See you in the other video.